Hi, I'm Paul Perdue, the Infrastructure Nerd. Today I'd like to talk to you about using your Practice Management System's contact function to do marketing. You've either got practice management or you're thinking about it, and it's got a function, most do, to keep track of contacts. What most firms don't realize is that those same contacts are the people that you're sending holiday cards, large and small tins of popcorn, newsletters, announcements, new lawyer postcards, all sorts of things to. And if you harness the power of the practice management system, you can combine them all into one unified system. Many firms today have spreadsheets for their popcorn list, spreadsheets for their holiday cards, spreadsheets for everything. You end up with 25 or 30 different spreadsheets that you need to consolidate when every time you go to send a holiday card. What we're going to talk about today is using the existing contacts feature of your practice management system to pull that all together into one place and to get rid of the spreadsheets. Let's take a look. We'll use Practice Master to take a look at this. You can use this concept in any practice management system that has contacts, but since we've got Practice Master set up to do it, that's what we're going to use for this example. I'm going to go into the contacts section, and I only have a handful of contacts, but if we pull up Paul Perdue, we'll see the normal screen where you'd expect to see things like address and phone and email and web page and things like that. Now, one important thing to understand here is that in order for this to work perfectly, it's important to have attorneys' outlooks synchronized with your practice management system. The idea is to get away from having Bob have his Outlook contacts and Sally have hers and George have his, and if you have 20 attorneys having 20 different contact lists. The idea is to have one centralized contact list. Most of the good practice management systems out there support the integration between Outlook and practice management. And it's important that that be in place so that you get rid of this many lists for one purpose thing that we've got going on now. Now, with that in mind, you can see that this particular contact, Paul Perdue, is set to sync with Cottrell, that's a username, their Outlook contacts. That means that of the 8,000, let's say, contacts that we have in this system, maybe 100, 150 are specific to attorney Cottrell, and maybe another 250 would go to Bob, and another 400 would go to George or Sally or whoever. And so you can have one central place with everybody having their contacts synced in, but not having to have all 8,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 contacts in their Outlook and therefore in their smartphone. Once you do this, again, most practice management systems will allow you to customize to a certain extent. In this example, we've taken Practice Master's contact list and added a marketing tab. And in it, we've defined some tangibles and intangibles. Quick term definition here. A tangible is something that you do or send. We send newsletters. We send a holiday card. We send announcements. And in this example, we send either large or small tins of popcorn. So let's say that Paul Perdue is someone who we like, and so he gets a large tin of popcorn. Maybe we also send to him newsletters and holiday cards, but he doesn't really care when we get new attorneys, so we don't send him the announcements. Now, we have introduced a concept where you are able to override the addresses and names. For instance, in our contact screen, we can have home and business and other addresses, and we can have a name like Paul Perdue, but maybe when we send the Christmas card, we send it to Paul and Barb Perdue. And maybe when we send the newsletter, we send it to Paul Perdue and Mary Jo Boyd. And maybe when we send the popcorn tin, we send it to Paul and staff, because Barb, his wife, doesn't get any of the popcorn, but it's not just Mary Jo that gets the popcorn, Leanne gets some too. And we've decided that when we send the newsletters, announcements, we're going to, or newsletters, we're going to send them to the business address, but the holiday card goes home and the popcorn goes to the office, to the business address. These overrides help you to manage your marketing efforts in conjunction with the regular contact functions of your practice management system. Another important distinction to make for you is owners. In this example, M. Boyd, again a username, and D. Weary, a username, own this contact. How is that different from Cottrell being the user over here? This says that Paul Perdue is going to sync with Cottrell's Outlook, and therefore Paul Perdue's name and email address and phone number will appear in Cottrell's Outlook and probably in that person's smartphone. This tab over here says that these two people own this person from a marketing standpoint, and it's an important distinction. Somebody may want this person in their Outlook contact list, but not care about them from a marketing standpoint. Others may care about them from a marketing standpoint, but not necessarily want that person in their contact list. So by making these distinctions, we're able to print lists and distribute them to M. Boyd and D. Weary and have them include Paul Perdue, so that when you get ready to send out holiday cards, you can make sure that M. Boyd and D. Weary still want Paul Perdue to get a holiday card, while at the same time make the distinction that it is Cottrell that wants this person synced with their Outlook. Do not contact, good idea to have. Sometimes people don't like you, sometimes you don't like people. And so why don't we just have a do not sync, or why don't we just take them off the lists? Well, if we took Paul Perdue off all these lists and got all these things cleared out, and then 2 years later somebody new joins the firm and they know Paul Perdue and they say, well, we should send him a holiday card, we may not know that Paul Perdue sued the firm, or that this was sued by the firm for non-payment. And we may get him back onto a list that he shouldn't be on. So I always recommend a separate do not contact checkbox, because you want Paul Perdue to always remain in your contact list so that you know in the future that these sorts of problems are there from a marketing standpoint. And finally, these intangibles, in this example I'm calling them areas of interest. We aren't sending something specific on a regular basis about patents, trademarks, copyrights, or any of these other areas of interest. They are more intangible ways to define that this contact has these areas of interest. That way, by defining contacts' intangible areas of interest, you're then able later to say, the patent office just opened its first satellite branch in Detroit. Let's send something to everybody who's interested in patents, trademarks, and copyrights, letting them know that. It's not something that you do regularly, like holiday cards and announcements and newsletters and popcorn tins, but it is a way to define these contacts in a way that you can touch them or market to them later on at a non-predefined interval. So there you have it. We've taken the contact file, added a separate tab to define these extra things that are related to marketing, and now we have combined marketing with the contacts feature of your practice management system. Well, that's it. Pretty simple in concept. I know I didn't go into a great bit of detail, and there's a lot to getting it set up to work right. But once you have it working right, it's an incredibly powerful tool to have all your contacts and all your lists and all your spreadsheets, even though you won't have those anymore, have everything coming from the same place. If you need help getting this set up, give me a call. I'm always here to help you. Thanks much. Bye-bye.